Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Now, a lot of the time in our corner of the internet, we get accused of being, oh, you're just a bunch of haters. All you want to do is hate on everything. Why you got to tear everything down? Why you got to be so mean? Well, and at the end of the day, I mean, I guess it's kind of fair, but not really in any way, shape, or form, because all we ever really do is want these things to get better, right? We roast these things, we argue over these things because we're nerds and we have a love for a lot of these kind of characters and a lot of these kind of stories, and we want them to be better. We want them to be good. We want them to give us good quality stories. We want to love these things, and we want to be excited for them. And well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what we've got here today, because the best Marvel is going to get from me for a very long time is cautious optimism, boys and girls. And now we have it officially confirmed that Netflix's Daredevil series out there, the one that everybody knew and loved, the one that was peak MCU television, probably the best MCU television. Actually, I would say absolutely it is the best MCU television we have ever seen, boys and girls. And well, Ness, what? Because after all of the rumors we've heard about all of the talks about everything, and we know for a fact everything has been redone with this Daredevil show, it is now confirmed that yes, it is canon, and it's going to take place, the new series is going to take place 5 years after the original series out there. And boys and girls, this has got me even more cautiously optimistic about the series, because this is what I want to do. I want to be happy about these things. I want to be excited about this stuff. I want them to give us good stories and good representations of our characters again. And boys and girls, Daredevil's Born Again might be the very first sign of things turning around over there at Marvel, and actually for them being able to pull this off. So this is what we've got over here, boys and girls, from Collider.com. Wilson Bethel teases Daredevil Born Again, 5-year time jump from the original series, a little extra bit of life in there. So yes, boys and girls, quite literally confirming that yes, everything from the Netflix series is truly canon, and they are carrying forward with that story, with those characters as we saw them in that series, with just a little extra time underneath their belt. So we're going to check all of this out and see exactly what he's got to say about all of this and what else we can glean about the future of the Daredevil series and what Born Again will actually entail for all of us, which, like I said, I am cautiously optimistic for. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Let us know what you think about this. Are you cautiously optimistic about this Marvel series with the Daredevil Born Again, with everybody getting fired and all of these new folks coming in? Do you think this will actually is a good sign for things turning around at Marvel? Or are you just completely and totally on the wait and see? Or are you one of those folks out there that has been burned so many times by these companies that you're like, oh, hell no, somebody else is going to have to tell me this is actually good before I ever consider checking this thing out? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. So from Collider.com and Ryan O'Rourke. Whenever a beloved live-action show is rebooted years later with the original cast, there's always the question of how to solve for the changes in age in the intervening time. Just because the camera stopped rolling doesn't mean the characters' lives don't continue, in theory. That's certainly the case for Daredevil, as Charlie Cox's title character has since appeared throughout the MCU, padding out his resume with appearances as She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Can we really not ever mention that ever again? I mean, seriously, for one, dudes don't do a walk of shame, okay? And I mean, that costume was just absolutely abysmal. Let's just not mention that one again. Spider-Man No Way Home and Echo. Ooh, which Echo, apparently that was the only good scene. I didn't watch that series because I was like, I'm not going to waste my time on that hot garbage dumpster fire. I mean, Disney Marvel knew from flat out that thing was going to be bad. That's why they dropped it all at once. But I heard the fight scene between Echo and Daredevil in that first little sequence is actually really good. And it just shows that Daredevil is just making an absolute fool of her. So, you know, maybe at least we'll find a clip of that, and that might be good to watch at some point. However, the long-awaited Daredevil Born Again will finally offer a proper continuation to the world, with everyone from Foggy Nelson, Karen Page, to the Punisher returning after 5 years away. According to Wilson Bethel, the passage of time will be easily felt through each familiar face when they reunite with Matt Murdock. And remember, boys and girls, this was not Disney Marvel's original plan. They weren't even going to mention Foggy. Karen Page was going to be written off on a little side scene. They were going to go in a completely and totally different direction. But you, all of the fans out there, all of the audience out there, we heard the rumors, we reported on it, we blasted them, we roasted them, we told them this was going to be a hot pile of steaming garbage. And guess what, boys and girls? Things changed. Making your voices heard as a fan absolutely does make a difference. Kevin Feige saw the writing on the wall and realized that their woke direction that they were going was not going to work and was not going to make them money. And yes, it cost them tens of billions of dollars at the box office and on their Disney Plus streaming services. But boys and girls, after making your voices heard, they have changed their ways, and we are getting a continuation continuation of the Netflix series, not some full-blown reboot nonsense. And that is at least hopefully a good sign for the future of things to come. Over the weekend, Bethel took to the stage at Fan Expo San Francisco for a wide-ranging panel alongside Cox, which they discussed their careers and, of course, the return in Born Again. I wonder how many junkies they had to dodge to get there. Bethel is set to reprise his role as Bullseye, a.k.a. Benjamin Poindexter, for the first time since his Season 3 appearance, and a lot has happened since then. He's since gone on to become a regular opposite Simon Mislick in the own legal drama All Rise. He's also taken up roles in films like Collide, Match Me, yada, 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 yada. We don't really care. According to Bethel, Born Again strongly reflects everything that happened to both the characters and the actors in the time since the Netflix original wrapped. There are a lot of untold stories from those 5 years, and they'll inform how every character portrayed. Let's just get down to it. We don't need their summary. Let's just hear it straight from a horse's mouth. Yeah, I mean, Charlie sort of alluded to it, but I think one of the things that's interesting, I mean, maybe it's a different on a sitcom or something like that, but if you're on a show for over a period of time and characters are aging together sort of in real time, and if the show is well written and the writers are sort of responding to that, really transpiring, the wrinkles of the hair, etc., then in theory, the character is evolving in a way, whether or not the show was on air or not. So obviously it's going to be one of them situations where they're going to allude to that there are stories that happened off screen, right? In the gaps that we missed, you're not necessarily going to see all that kind of stuff, but there's going to be information that's going to happen. There's going to be probably going to be like inside jokes between Foggy and Karen and all, and Charlie Cox's Daredevil, of course, and all that kind of stuff. So it's one of them situations where we'll have to see all that kind of stuff happen. We've already seen a glimpse of that with some of the little trailers, obviously, with the new conversations between Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock. It was very, very interesting to see all that kind of stuff. We're going to end up seeing a Kingpin who's mayor now, boys and girls. That is going to add a wild dynamic between him and Daredevil, because that is going to be a fun thing to see going forward. So there's kind of like this funny thing stepping back after 5 years where Born Again will pick up with that amount of time having transpired. Once again, as I reiterated, confirming that the Netflix series is now canon, which was not part of Disney Marvel's original plan. They were going to scrap it all and not consider it canon. But now, because you all made your voices heard, it is officially MCU canon, boys and girls. The show doesn't pick up the day after we last saw it. It picks up 5 years later. So in theory, these are the characters who have all lived 5 years of life and all of these twists and turns that you take in the meantime. So whether or not even any of those stories are necessarily on screen, there's just a little bit of extra life in there, which I think as an actor, it gives you an opportunity to bring whatever your own journey has been in that time, and they sort of get a little longer in the tooth. So there you go, boys and girls. I mean, that's kind of a fun thing to go out there and check things in. And I love the idea of the fact that they're going to absolutely keep the Netflix series as canon. That's what they should have done. That should have always been the plan from the very beginning. That Netflix series was well received by the fans and the critics for once. I mean, the audiences loved that series. It was so well done, and it was such a success for Netflix. The mere idea, I mean, I don't know whose delusional brain inside of Disney Marvel over there that thought it was a good idea just to throw it all out. I don't know if it was out of spite because they did so much a better job than any of the stuff you guys have done on Disney Plus, or what it was. But needless to say, the smarter minds prevailed, calmer heads prevailed out there, and now we are getting all of that kind of stuff out there. So it's one of them situations where it looks like this is going to be awesome. Obviously, we know everybody that's coming in on this kind of stuff. The Punisher's executive producer, Derek Chappelle, is the showrunner and the first for the franchise out there. So, I mean, that's really cool. If you really enjoyed the Punisher series, that's going to be the executive producer for this Daredevil series, because I know a lot of us were kind of upset. We would have loved to see the Netflix writers come back. But for whatever reason, at least we're going to get the Punisher show out there running this kind of stuff. So as of right now, it looks like it's going to end up being pretty good. So Daredevil Born Again arrives on Disney Plus on March 4th, 2025. So we don't have all that long to wait to find out, boys and girls, if the MCU and Marvel and Kevin Feige and all the rest of them can actually turn this around and give us a good quality Daredevil series going forward. But like I said at the beginning, I'm cautiously optimistic. This adds more to that cautious optimism, because this is another sign that they are actually doing what the fans wanted. They're actually responding to the fans. And that's a shout out to each and every one of you out there. You should all take a victory lap, because this is your success. You're the only reason any of this happened. If everybody would just kept up showing up there like blind little sheep, like everybody over at Disney Marvel and all the rest of the acolytes out there in Hollywood thought we were, that we were just going to show up to whatever slop they threw in the trough. If we would have continued acting like that, we would have gotten more of the exact same thing. But because you all went out there and made your voices heard, because all of the fact that you went out there and decided to turn all of this stuff off, cancel your subscriptions, not go see these movies, not watch these television series, this is why things have changed. Because at the end of the day, 2 + 2 does still equal 4, and you do eventually run out of other people's money. And how much money they've spent into the Daredevil thing is a whole different conversation, right? There's no way this movie is going to actually make them a profit because they had like literally half the first season already shot, and then they went back in and scrapped all of it after the strike was over, and then came back with a whole new writing team, a whole new directors, all these new people. They brought they brought Karen Page, and they brought Foggy Nelson back, and everybody was super excited about all that kind of stuff. And apparently all the actors have been loving it and having a good job. So as to whether or not this show will actually be a success, considering MCU and Marvel's track record right now on Disney Plus, if this show does better ratings than anything else we've ever seen on Marvel, it'll absolutely be a guaranteed success. But needless to say, that bar isn't super high, ladies and gentlemen. But at the end of the day, what I'm most concerned about is this going to make the fans happy? Is this going to give the audiences what we want? Is this going to give us the ability to actually praise Marvel instead of continually roasting them all day and night? At the end of the day, I'm good with either way. You guys love both sides of things, and guess what? I enjoy doing both of it as well, and I'm meant for screaming and yelling and roasting these people. So at the end of the day, Marvel, Kevin Feige, and everybody else over there at Disney, the ball is in your court. It's up to you how well this turns out. Are we going to roast you? Are we going to praise you? It's all up to you. And after all, you did do this to yourself.